Hello, hello. So, we just watched Game of Thrones.
The final episode.
The end of an era.
Almost a decade in the making.
Seriously, a decade.
Kind of like this year we've been getting thrown with a lot of that, like the end game, and now
it's seriously
the end of Game.
The end of Game of Thrones. It's like they all planned it to just work out.
Yeah.
You know.
The big thing I was thinking throughout the whole episode is like, I feel like, give or take, this is kind of the way it was always meant to end.
Yeah.
Like George R.R. Martin's version, but obviously played out a little bit differently just because of like
Cinema.
just the different like this is still Dan and Dave's story at the end of the day. They pretty much, it's like
Dan and
George,
Dave.
yeah, the guys who
Who
are the writers.
They wanted
and
to
all
do
that.
it. They wanted to do it their way. Still.
Well, yeah, a lot of like the characters, like a lot of the main characters, like pretty much what I heard was that like, they stayed relatively on like to the general synopsis of like how it's supposed to end, and then and they just do it a different way. They're getting to the same end in a different way than George R. R. Martin because they stray from the books, right? And then George R. R. Martin puts in a lot of characters, and they do a lot of things that they don't do exactly in Game of Thrones. So
they definitely went for some shock and awe moments that only TV and like video can really compel, and it was just like.
Well,
man.
There were some amazing shots in that episode.
Oh my god. The shot where Jon is just standing there and so first of all, spoiler talk.
Yeah, of course.
So the point where Jon is just standing and the fucking dragon just comes out of the snow. It's like wakes up and just looks at him, and then
that kind of just reminded me of Lord of the Rings, like the kind of like scale that the dragons are at there, where it's like this is the dragon's castle, right?
You feel the scale of the world. You feel the dragon's castle, exactly.
Now, what I'll say is that I did catch some like, I wish they just like chose to dialogue this better. There were points where I was like a little bit like, okay, I don't like that, but then there were other points where they brought back a bunch of like dialogue throughout the series to like really reconfirm that it did feel like a wrapped up ending.
Perfect little moments of just bringing you back to the beginning of the series, which in any ending you have to revisit the beginning.
Yeah,
and the Avengers did it. Now fucking Game of Thrones have done it. And there's those beautiful little moments, those little nods to
the past. Well, like okay, so I'm gonna tell you that like when I first heard the whole Bran thing, I'm like, this is a fucking joke, and like I still think it's kind of a fucking joke.
Did that get spoiled for you, or
no? That him being
when they first just announced it,
Well, like the thing was,
I was like, what?
Okay, give me a fucking second here. Sorry, so pretty much when my first reaction is, this is really stupid, and like I still kind of think it is because he's still the three-eyed raven. He can see into the future, so how can anyone who can see into the future make decisions? It might you could also say the opposite. Oh, that's why his decisions will always be good, because he'll know that it'll be a good consequence in the end. But also, like, he's not really a person anymore, so making decisions
what it seemed like to me was that, like any like leader, even in today's society, you have a council that is working behind them, a group of people that is truly running the show. And when you have that little zoom out at the end where you have the group sort of trying to get to know each other, trying to feel each other out, sort of that little squabbling, that's the three-eyed raven is just an idea, and for the king itself is also an idea. For him to become the king is to just emphasize that idea of like, you don't need to have one person at the head of the table. You can have it needs to be a coalition of people.
And I think that's actually kind of why I do like the idea of Bran being in it, because Bran doesn't make the decisions. He doesn't care. He's just like he I think he's just kind of going along with it so that they can still, like, the council can make the decisions.
Exactly.
And he can just do things that, like, he thinks. I honestly think he's just gonna try for the next years of his life to find Drogon and control Drogon.
Yeah.
And bring Drogon back to, like, a place where he's safe. And,
yeah.
like, in that way, he's a protector of the realm.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, like, that's just...
I mean, he's the spiritual protector in that sense, exactly. Because he can go look for him. He can maybe even warg into him. I don't know.
Well, that's what I think that he's going to try to do.
Yeah.
And, like, bring Drogon back into...
But at the same time, like...
Pretty much control a nuclear weapon, right?
Yeah.
Keep a nuclear weapon from destroying the world.
Exactly.
Um...
There's, like, some great parallels. And what, like, any good literature or piece of fiction does is it reflects our own society back at us in a mirror scenario. And in this, they did a great job of, like, making you sort of rethink, like, the establishment, you know, the wheel.
Well, I do like that they kind of made, like, the end just feel kind of like a part of the history books, and kind of that it didn't end. Like, the story, the stories, the Game of Thrones story ended, but their lives didn't end, and, like, they all still have, like, their relationships with, you know, every which character.
Right.
And, like, it feels like 20 years from now there could be some other kind of turmoil. Like, it's not the end of of a whole story. It's the ending of the Game of Thrones story. And
exactly, because now it's whatever comes next, you know.
Yeah.
The throne has been melted. I wanted to say this, like, again, just to reiterate for the audience, because I told you this earlier when we were watching it, but the dragon itself, I was saying, is really smart. It was even smarter than I thought it was, because it knew that Daenerys was evil, and that she had a bad vision, and she knew that Jon, it didn't want to kill Jon because... However, now it's sort of changed, I guess, because Bran is the one that's leading, and what is Jon even? Why would it let Jon live?
Well, I think there could be. I think it could be because of this.
Well, let me just explain what just so that they know what I was talking about. I thought that the dragon had let Jon survive so that he could be, because it recognized him as, like, the true leader or the better, like, moral compass, and the dragon itself was just doing what Daenerys wanted, and in the end it took Daenerys off to just go mourn its loss of its mom and its other family. I think it's funny how much life they put into these CGI creatures.
Yeah.
And how they don't say anything, but they're saying so much, which is crazy. And that says about the rest of the show. Anyways, but now I don't know why it kept Jon alive.
Well, here's what I think. I think, first of all, it probably trusted Jon because Jon was riding Viserion, and Jon was crying, holding her. Like, he maybe Drogon didn't think that Jon killed him. Or killed her, sorry.
Right.
Maybe he didn't think that because he trusted Jon to be a good guy, and then he was just really angry, and because he kind of knows that it was, that her entire freaking journey was to get to that throne, he, instead of blaming Jon, just blamed the throne.
Yeah, the throne, and then because it knew the throne was what drove her, and that's why it destroyed the throne, because at the end of the day, the dragon knew that Daenerys' job was done. She did what she wanted to do, but she didn't. She broke the wheel, and the dragon, just in a symbolic way, melted down the throne, and Jon was just left because it was like, there's no point. There's no more. I don't need to kill you because there's no thrones. There's no Game of Thrones anymore, and you don't. It doesn't matter if you're the leader or not. Like, it's true. Powerful stuff.
Yeah. Did you, were you happy about the ending?
Yes, I would say that it was good because it surprised me. I didn't expect what they did, and that's what any good story should do, is to surprise you in a way where you're not mad, you're not like, you're not excited, you're just kind of like you're just sort of whelmed, you're like, that's how you end a series, is you're like, okay.
Honestly, I'll give my stamp of approval for this ending. I mean, there's still I think parts, like, say for Tyrion and for Jon, their parts got better towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I kind of hate hearing Jon, even though he ended up going and killing her. I hate hearing him say, "You are my queen." Or
he loved her, man. That's the love story. It's the love story.
Yeah, but the thing is,
people wanted that.
But man, here's what annoyed me. The choice of dialogue. It was always the same thing, and it was always really short instead of. I
guess he said
he was.
Yeah, they sort of reused that a little bit.
That's the thing.
But Jon himself is a simple guy. He doesn't have a massive. Yeah. Like, he's not gonna spin her a poem before he fucking stabs her.
No, but he can not sound like a broken record.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess that's just writing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, and like. Same with Tyrion. I think he actually got a lot of really good ones, and I think they especially happened later in the episode.
Very, very well.
There's these few times where he says things where it's like, that was just like he's always witty, and sometimes the dialogue, like, the thing is, Tyrion is wittier than Dan and Dave, and this is kind of the general consensus of all the fans, is that Tyrion is way smarter than Dan and Dave. So Dan and Dave can't write Tyrion to his full potential. And the thing is, the thing about the writers is they get to the same end point as George R. R. Martin, but they don't...
Not as gracefully.
They're not as graceful about it. And I think if anybody is going to hate on this episode, any of the fans, that's where it's going to be.
Yeah,
because
makes sense.
Because what I really think is that this was generally how Game of Thrones should have ended. Mm-hmm. I was always predicting there would be a regime change. I always thought that the Iron Throne had to fucking be destroyed. Just go. So... That was a satisfying thing for me. It was kind of predictable, but like in that satisfying way where it's like I didn't want it. And they did make that joke about democracy, and like,
they did. That was
so
kind of funny.
They also kind of played.
Yeah. I also fucking love the uncle there. He like steps up for a second and he's like, maybe I can be the new king. Guy throws his fucking hat into the ring.
He's the fucking most pathetic guy ever.
Just clueless, man. So clueless. But honestly, like, it was kind of like, look, we're not doing that anymore. We're not just picking. Like, you don't get to pick. It's the people. Like, but not like, I don't know. I guess the people who know what they're talking about get to pick the person that leads.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
But it's kind of funny because like now the 6 kingdoms are all kind of like ran by, they have their king ran, but it's also like it's democratic now. Like, you vote for your king, right? Whereas up in the north, is actually still the same way that the 7 kingdoms were, where it's ruled by a house, like
House Stark. Is it though?
Stark? Yeah, what they're I'm pretty sure they're doing, because she's queen, right? Queen of the North.
But he's still king of the 7 kingdoms. They just haven't changed the vernacular. I think I feel like she's taken on the.
He doesn't have control.
He doesn't have control up there, but she has control. But there's just 2 leaders. I thought it was just like she's making another country.
Yes, it is another country,
right? That's kind of.
It doesn't have. She does. That country doesn't have to listen to the rules.
Right.
Of the 6 kingdoms.
So she's gonna have a kid, and that kid will be the successor. You said it's still going. Like, I don't know if that's it, man. I think she's taking on the new idea, but she just wants to be.
Not Sansa. Sansa's still she's very traditional with stuff.
Do you think that's gonna cause trouble in the future?
It could, and that's the thing about reading like a history book, is that the history never ends.
And another thing, I guess, in the real world, not everyone ever completely agrees on something, and that emphasizes it by having at the end of the day,
they did that, and I think
a character
that's
she's a good character, but she still opposes the status quo, the new status quo. So there has to be a yin to the yang, and I guess that makes sense. Like, you're right.
Obviously, she's gonna support her brother being a freaking representation of, the Six Kingdoms, the king of the Six Kingdoms. But yeah, she asked for independence.
Independence, exactly.
Yeah, so it's a different country altogether, but that's kind of like, they pretty much just went into like the Renaissance, really, in the freaking like they start. Well, I mean, with like they're trying to get the Age of Exploration. They're pretty much wrapping up like they're a new regime change. Yeah. So it could spark a renaissance in Westeros. The decisions like with the new political.
Pretty much.
Way.
Well, now it's everybody has an opportunity to lead now, right?
Yeah.
So it's like.
But also kind of the birth of instead of kingdoms, more countries.
Yeah, it's really. It brings it to history, which is cool. Like it makes it interesting. It kind of. You're sort of learning at the same time, while still enjoying some fictional story in a fictional world. But like I said before, I'll say it again. Any good literature has gotta mirror our own world so that we can keep moving forward and keep learning from what where we've come.
Mm-hmm.
But damn.
And now it like, because Bran is the king, it makes sense that they couldn't really like play his Night King card as much. And like, I will say the first episode is Bran's episode, right? Where you think that Bran is gonna be like, you would vote Bran in the first episode. You would be like, Bran's going to sit on the Iron Throne.
What happens in that first one that makes?
Because he's the kid that you kind of see through his eyes.
Yeah.
And then he falls out the window at the end. Yeah. Ruins all that. And that subverts everyone's expectations that he's going to be there. And,
right. You were talking way at the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
You're sort of thinking like he's
recap,
like,
right?
He's the Arthas, right? He's the Arthas. Like he's one day he's supposed to be the guy.
Yeah.
But then everything else happens, but then at the end they fucking double whammy you and you're like, never mind, he's still the fucking guy.
Well, because like even in season 1 they did that, where the first episode you think that it's Bran is the super main character, but then after he gets in a coma, they allow you to think now that Ned Stark's the super main character,
and then Jon Snow,
and boom, and then it's Daenerys and Jon Snow, and then it's their story all the way up until they bring it back that, it's the show started with Bran.
Yeah, but then what I really liked is that every Stark, after all the fucking shit that the whole family went through, they finally like, all the remaining Stark kids kind of get like their sort of happy ending in a way.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, oh, thank God. Like, so tired of watching this family fucking suffer.
John's isn't really, I'd call a happy ending, but I find it ironic and like he's just like,
it is ironic.
He's like, back up here again.
Just back up here, same
where I belong.
Pretty
but
much.
It is what he asked for at the beginning of the show. He's like, I want to be Night Watch, right?
He got what he wanted in the end. He got what he wanted.
And he technically had that vacation, when he threw it up and they're like, where are you going? And he's like, I need a vacation or something like that.
So he had that, and then Arya gets to continue adventuring like she has always wanted to adventure. She's going to be finding some new world.
Well, she mentioned the West in the first season as well. Like, what's west of Westeros?
She had that inclination from right then and there.
Yeah, but to finally be able to get back to that, I think that goes back to episode 5 where Sandor Clegane, the Hound, was just like, he's like, stop thinking about revenge and actually get a real life. Like, stop the teenage bullshit and just fucking get over it. Find a career path. And I think that's what she wanted before she wanted revenge, and she was finally able to get over her quest for revenge
and just get back to her real quest for just living her life and adventuring and
adventure.
Yeah, because that's what she always dreamed of. She didn't want to be sitting at a tea party or whatever. Mm-hmm. She wanted to be fucking sailing the 7 seas, like discovering shit. And I think Jaime and like to go back to the Lannisters and that whole fucking thing, they got what they wanted, I think, because they are now together forever. Just the two of them.
Yeah.
Together forever. And I think that's fine. That's what they reiterate that so much of the series, that, like, oh, at the end of the day it's us, nobody else. In the end, they're alone under the fucking city. They get crushed. They die together.
Yeah.
Live together, die together. They got exactly what they wanted, I think.
I think for most people who still alive, they got what they wanted.
Tyrion is interesting.
I'm just...
Because he... What did he want? I don't even know.
Tyrion?
Yeah, I guess he just wanted to be accepted, right?
Well, he wanted to be valued for his talents, and also he found out that being a hand of the king is what he's good at.
Yeah.
He was bad at being the hand of the queen because she turned out to be a tyrant.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't.
He just wasn't. It wasn't the right fit, but.
Yeah.
Now he's like, it's funny because he's got this position that he doesn't want, but he has to have it now, and that's what's going to make him even better, because he's no stake anymore. He's just try to make it right.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Very cool.
I still find it funny how, like, he came up there as it was his execution, and he just suddenly decided that Bran was going to be the king for them.
When does fucking Tyrion not, like, show up at an execution and just somehow fucking talk his ass out of that bullshit?
Yeah.
Like, that's... His whole character arc is just, like,
getting himself out of this. I did like how they mirrored the trial.
Yes. Yes. So many times he's like, I've been on trial my whole life for being a dwarf. It's fucking...
Yeah.
Oh Christ. He's so good. They really used him. It would have been a shame to just like pike him or something, like 2 episodes ago or something like that. It really there was value in his...
Well, the thing was, he kind of like his role kind of got very minuscule in season 7. It kind of just slowly started to fade away, and it's like, what is Tyrion even doing? And then this season, I feel like they kind of like remember that Tyrion is fucking like...
He's the brain man, yeah.
And like, although I still feel like sometimes like, they could have, given him his wit, for his dialogue, and some other stuff. I'm still kind of personally mad at him. Like, I know he freaking realizes that he was a shithole for doing it, but for getting Varys fucking killed, it was...
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. But I think Varys is kind of like... he's one of those deaths that he needed to happen because it proved to Tyrion that he was wrong. And I think it's what led to the right decisions.
And I think that could be that would have been like the biggest change in him, that just, his mistakes as a hand.
Yeah.
The queen. He
Varys, man.
He won't make those mistakes again.
He died protecting the realm just as he always wanted to. He got exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
Because he did protect the realm in the end. He like... Fuck, man. Every character, dude. All the wrap-ups you want. You see fucking... Podrick's now like knighted and just looking like a boss. And fucking
Podrick has definitely had the best journey of everyone.
Seriously, he's like we're just been rocking out this whole time. And
he just always had a good attitude about it, and he just fucking became a knight because of it.
Brienne, dude, literally closes the book on Jaime. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good. Like, she's like, I'm like leader of the fucking, the castle, like the guard. What are they called again? The King's Guard? Yes.
Yeah.
King's Guard.
Well, she gave him his story, because you do remember in season 4, episode 1, when Joffrey like looks at his like.
Exactly.
He's like, oh, but there's still time for you to, you know, right? You're like 40 years old or 40,
he made it.
40
he did
something,
make it. He did
and
change
just like
things,
mocks him, and like Jaime's just like,
or
Jaime's like, there's still time. It's like for a 40-year-old man, and it was like,
haha, basically.
Yeah.
Brienne's so good. She's so cool. It's like she took it pretty well, I guess, but. She's doing way better, I guess, which is good. And I kind of have hope for her and fucking Redbeard, you know, giant Spain.
No, that's never gonna happen, because they're beyond the wall. I
know, two opposite parts of the world. Yeah. But that's what's so juicy about it, you know. It's like they're not meant to be. But
I highly doubt that's gonna happen. I'm just gonna put that out there, but
oh fuck.
But I think, honestly, I think we.
Yeah, this was a good talk.
We covered the whole episode. We did it in different segments. We didn't really do it in order.
We had to flip flop a bit. I think it was necessary. I think if you guys have any thoughts on the episode or any contradictions to our ideas, please let us know. Let's hear. We want to hear everybody's opinion.
Well,
on
first of all, what I'll just say is like I will give it my seal of approval.
Ding, ding, ding.
I think I think it ended how it should have ended. Obviously, I don't think that. The writers are as good as like I still think George R.R. Martin's ending will be like still like twice or 3 times as good.
But this is good enough for me. This is totally good enough.
It's better than what I was expecting them to give me for an ending. So seal of approval. And if you guys don't give your seal of approval, let us know why.
Yeah, well, let's hear all the ideas, and we may or may not do another video in like 2-3 weeks when all this is settled and just sort of
given an opinion of the whole series.
Because now everything's gotta ruminate, you know, it's gotta sort of like cook in the slow cooker, and we'll see what our final opinion on this shit is. But damn.
Yeah.
What a fucking month.
Holy shit.
Damn.
Alright.
Yeah, peace.
Have a good night, guys. We need to go to bed.